From a player who didn't receive any top-tier D1 offers in high school to leading his team to back-to-back NCAA titles. UConn Huskies star point guard Tristen Newton's path to college greatness is a bizarre one. Being underrated fueled him to become one of the best players to ever don a Huskies jersey. And for the 2024 NBA Draft, the narrative about Tristen Newton continues. A complete sleeper in the draft. Bleacher Report predicts him to go number 51, while ESPN projected him to go undrafted in the NBA Draft. But for Newton, this isn't new. He's used to being the guy who gets overlooked, the guy who's at the bottom of the list. This motivates him, and it's not a stretch to say that Tristen Newton might be the biggest steal in the draft. Let's dive deep into the game of this young UConn star, how he rose from his adversaries, and how he can impact NBA teams at the highest levels. Spoilers, you might end up wanting him for your team. Just how good is Tristen Newton actually? Donyell Marshall, Emeka Okafor, Shabazz Napier, Kemba Walker, Richard Hamilton, and Ray Allen. Just 6 of the greatest players in UConn history have made the first team All-American. Most of these players made a significant impact in the NBA, while the likes of Rip Hamilton and Jesus Shuttlesworth became legends. But how did Newton make such an impact on the Huskies in just 2 years? Well, it's all thanks to Tristen's upbringing in his hometown of El Paso, Texas. Newton played high school ball at Burgess High School, following in his older brother's footsteps, Jawan Newton, who was his teammate. At Burgess, Newton balled hard. His team traveled great distances to play against the toughest teams in the state. In high school, Newton scored a whopping 3,266 total points and led the entire state of Texas in scoring as a senior with 37.2 points per game, while leading his Mustangs to the district's 1-5A championship. Newton showed flashes of brilliance, a triple-threat offensive juggernaut who can score, distribute, and crash the boards regularly despite being a guard. Some scouts saw a glimpse of Ja Morant in his game. Surely he's not as fast as Ja, but his tendencies, his athleticism, vision, and his many ways of attacking the basket caught some attention. But unfortunately, not enough attention. Despite his skills and high school accolades, Newton did not receive any major D1 offers. He was in fact a 0-star recruit. And his high school coach, Paul Gutierrez, knew why. "It's just a stigma of El Paso," said Gutierrez. "El Paso's not a basketball town." Newton was overlooked by college scouts because he played in El Paso. He was counted off before he had the chance to play college ball. His coach said that both Texas Tech and TCU came to watch Newton play, but neither offered him a scholarship. Not even the University of Texas El Paso, which is less than 10 miles away. Following his sensational senior season, Tristen signed with East Carolina and decided to take his own path rather than joining his brother in Evansville. As a freshman, Newton played in all 31 of ECU's games, starting 19 of them. He finished second on the team in points and rebounds and first in assists and steals. His coach applauded his laid-back demeanor and how tough an athlete he is. "He's always been a tough shot taker and a tough shot maker. Late in the clock, he's able to find ways to get shots off and be creative," said Joe Dooley, Newton's coach at ECU. Even as a freshman, he's not afraid to take the big shots. But his college career took a step back in his sophomore year in the COVID-19 shortened season, as he averaged just 8.7 points, 4.3 rebounds, and 4.2 assists per game. But that didn't stop Newton from having a breakout year in his junior season at ECU. His all-around game was on full display. His natural size at 6'5" as a point guard made him a big problem for opposing teams, as he broke down defenders with his excellent court vision and tough shot making. Newton averaged 17.7 points, 5 assists, and 4.8 rebounds per game, and made the second-team All-American Athletic Conference, making a statement that he's one of the top premier guards in this country. Newton was poised to come back to ECU for his senior year and make a deeper run with the team. But with the firing of Coach Joe Dooley, Tristen entered the transfer portal in hopes of attracting those major D1 offers that he never got in high school. Just an hour later, Newton received a phone call from one of the top collegiate basketball programs in the country, the UConn Huskies. It was the first of dozens of phone calls Newton received, a massive turnaround in his collegiate career. Newton made his first visit to UConn, and it was an impactful one. As a result, he didn't do any other college tours and committed to the Huskies shortly after returning home. The Huskies were in dire need of a change before signing Newton, as they were knocked out in the first round of the NCAA tournament in back-to-back seasons. Right after Newton's signing, he immediately made an impact. Newton played in all 39 games and started in 38 for UConn as their primary point guard. He led the team in assists and set a UConn record for triple-doubles in a single season. Newton orchestrated UConn's offense to swiftly pass through opponents in the NCAA tournament. And in their game against San Diego State, it was not evident that this was Newton's first NCAA title game. He went into the game not as a rookie of the big moments, but as a veteran of the sport. Newton was arguably the best player on the floor, leading the team with 19 points and 10 rebounds, making all his free throw attempts to lead UConn to its first NCAA title in almost a decade. Talk about sudden impacts. He's just the all-round player that UConn needed at their point guard position to get over the hump. And they did just that, stomping the opposition. In just one season with a great basketball system like UConn, Newton was a champion. After becoming a champion, Newton declared himself for the star-studded 2023 NBA draft. But for Newton, it seemed like there was still unfinished business at UConn. He wanted those back-to-back championships, but this time with an even bigger role. With emerging star center Donovan Clingan anchoring the defense and Tristen Newton being the floor general, the Huskies became the favorites to win it all once again. Newton then undeclared for the draft and decided to give it one last go with the Huskies. Well, he absolutely flourished, playing the best basketball of his life, 15.2 points, 6 assists, and 7 rebounds per game, an all-around player that can absolutely do it all. He's a glue guy who can defend opposing guards with ease while also distributing the ball efficiently on offense. UConn staff described Newton as a guy from El Paso, Texas, without a huge ego, who can keep to himself and is motivated by quiet determination. This guy is just not afraid of the big moments. He's not afraid to attack the basket and put his body on the line in order to penetrate defenses. This season, many ranked him as the best guard in the tournament, while being the focal point of the Huskies' offense. But despite all of that, he's still not listed in the mock drafts. In fact, his 4 co-starters were hailed as better prospects than Newton. But why? Well, it doesn't help Newton that he played college ball for 5 years. Newton's now almost 23 years old, which is not an enticing number for most NBA scouts. Plus, his inefficiencies in shooting the 3-ball are a factor as well, which is quite important for many teams in today's NBA. During the 2023-2024 college season, Newton's 3-point shooting averaged only 32%, yet he displayed promising signs that he's comfortable with shooting at the NBA range. His impressive free throw percentage of over 80% underscores his commitment to refining his shooting skills and possessing the crucial shooting finesse coveted by every NBA franchise. UConn coach Dan Hurley almost dismissed the mock drafts that overlooked Newton as a top prospect in this year's class. In these front offices, a lot of it's analytics-based, Hurley said. A lot of teams value him a lot more than these mock drafts do. He's 6'5", he rebounds, he facilitates, plays, and shoots NBA threes with pretty good efficiency. And he's a champion. I think he's going to play in the NBA for 12 to 15 years. A triple-double threat, a versatile facilitator, a fearless slasher, and to top it all off, a winner. It's hard to see 30 NBA teams passing on Tristen Newton. Every team needs a guy like him, a spark plug from the bench that can change the momentum of any game. Don't be surprised if you hear Tristen Newton's name, because he's a legit problem. Which team do you think should take the gamble on Tristen Newton? Do you think he has what it takes to elevate his game to the NBA?